Frequently asked questions with attorney Blake Friedman, Part 1.
My name is attorney Blake Friedman, and these are the most frequent questions that my clients ask me.
What should I do after a car accident in Nevada?
You just got into an accident. Your heart's racing, your hands are shaking, you're scared. The first thing that you have to do is make sure that you get to safety. If you're on the freeway and there's cars whizzing by, don't just get out of the vehicle. You have to make sure it's safe to do so. You might have to pull over onto the shoulder. Now, if you're in a parking lot or you're on a side street where there's not a whole lot of traffic, you might be able to get out of the car right there and take photographs of where the vehicles rest, which is ideal for evidence. But make sure you're safe, number one.
Call 911 and request medical help if anyone may be hurt.
You made it to safety. Now, determine if someone's injured. If they are, call 911 and get EMTs to the scene as soon as possible. You also want police to come to the scene to do an investigation. Now, you don't always have to call 911. If it's a small car accident and there's not injuries involved and you can just exchange information with the other driver, that's fine. Just make sure you're getting all the evidence before you leave the scene.
Exchange the required information and get the other driver's insurance details.
Exchange information with the other drivers at the scene. Pull out your phone, take a photo of their driver's license, their insurance, their registration. Now, look at their insurance, look at their registration. Do the names match up? Is the insurance active? You need to be looking for these things. If it's not, ask them those questions. Whose vehicle is it? Where were they going? What's the purpose of their trip? Also, make sure you take a photo of their license plate. And what I tell my clients is take a photo of their VIN. We can run additional searches with the VIN number. So gathering this information is super important at the scene.
Identify and photograph witnesses immediately.
Identifying and collecting witness information is key. Imagine you're in a car accident, the airbag deployed, there's sirens in the background, there's people coming up and it's chaos at the scene. Someone comes up and says, hey, don't worry, I saw that you had the green light, you're not at fault. You need to make sure that you get that person's information right away, and you need to ask them to please stay for the police. Because if you don't, and the police come up 20 minutes later and say, hey, the other driver is saying they had the green light, but you know you had the green light, and you're looking for the witness, but the witness is gone, you might not have the information to be able to prove that you had the green light and that you're not at fault. So make sure that you get that information as soon as possible.
Take proof photos before vehicles are moved if safe to do so.
Take as many photos and videos as you can. Obviously, take photos of the damage to the vehicles. Try and get photos of where the vehicles came to rest before they're moved by tow trucks or other people. Take photos of skid marks, take photos of the stoplights, the stop signs. If there's company logos on the side of a vehicle, take photos of that. Take photos of the VIN, the license plate. If there's witnesses, try and take photos of that. And what I tell my clients is once you're done with that, put your phone on record and try to record the conversations that you're having with the other drivers and the witnesses. Oftentimes at the scene, people are going to be truthful right after a car accident. However, after a couple days go by and they had a chance to talk with their family or the insurance company or their friends, their story might change. So it's really good if you can get audio recordings of the conversations at the scene.
Do not admit fault at the scene.
Admissions of fault. You need to be careful. It's okay to say the facts of the accident. If the police show up, tell them the truth. Now, if someone's sitting at a red light and you're not paying attention and you rear end them, then yeah, you need to admit fault. However, if it's a more complex accident, there's multiple vehicles involved, there's lane changes, someone speeding, someone ran a red light, there's just multiple things that are going on, don't necessarily admit fault at the scene right then and there. Fault can be determined later. It might be that you're 20% at fault, the other person's 80% at fault, but if you come out and say that you're at fault right away because your emotions are high, that can really affect your case. You need to be careful.
Preserve evidence like dashcam, phone video, and vehicle data.
All right, you've collected the evidence. You need to make sure you're preserving it. If you have photos and videos on your phone, make sure you email it to yourself or you text them to a friend or a family member so they're backed up. If they're just on your phone and your phone gets wet or destroyed, you might lose that information forever. There's other things like dashcam downloads or event data recorder downloads as well. For example, we just had a recent large case where our client had a green light going through an intersection. Another Uber driver ran a red light and T-boned him, and it was a really bad accident. The only way for our client to prove that he had the green light was a witness who had dashcam. Now, the witness was elderly. She was very nice. She came up to our client at the scene and said that her vehicle, she thinks, had dashcam. but she didn't know how to download it. We sent an expert out right away to download that footage and get it preserved. And good thing we did, because one day later, the dash cam would have overwritten itself. Okay, so it's really important that you get it done as soon as possible. There's other things like event data recorder downloads that will take data from the time of impact, as far as how fast was someone going, were they wearing their seatbelt, was there any turning motion in the vehicle. There's a lot of data you can get from an event data recorder download. So it's important that you get those things as soon as possible.
Get the correct crash report process started.
The police report. It's usually ready within 5 to 7 days after an accident. Now, some departments are faster than others. Usually Nevada Highway Patrol is faster than Metro. There's also Henderson, there's North Las Vegas. But in general, 5 to 7 days, it should be ready. When it comes out, you need to review it. Check to see if there's any statements or photos. Usually you have to request those separately. You can also see in the description section if there's body cam that's available. If there's a dispute as to liability, the body cam can be really important because it could show, it's from the officer's perspective, what conversations were had at the scene, at least with the officer. So check to see if that's necessary. Another thing with the police report is, remember, it's hearsay. It's not set in stone. The officer's decision is just his opinion or her opinion. It's not necessarily the end-all be-all. If there's other evidence that contradicts what the police report shows, you can use that in your case. A police report is technically hearsay. It's an out-of-court statement offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. So just keep that in mind. If there's other evidence, you can always use that if the police report says differently.
Start medical documentation right away and follow up.
If you're injured and you're making an injury claim, medical documentation is key. Now, if you take an ambulance from the scene to the hospital, you have medical documentation of your injuries right away. But if you don't, and you're injured, you need to make sure that you get follow-up medical treatment as soon as possible. Why? The longer you wait, the more the insurance company is going to argue that you were not hurt or you were not injured. And let's say you wait a month before you go to the doctor, they might argue that you could have got injured somewhere during that time and it was not related to the car accident. So it's super important that you go and you get checked out right away.
Track expenses and impacts immediately.
Last but not least, track your damages. As far as medical expenses go, remember that Nevada follows the collateral source rule, which means that you're entitled to the full amount of your billing regardless of what health insurance pays. So you need to request the full itemized billing statements and look at what the total charges are. That's what needs to be submitted. As far as wage loss goes, you want to collect your pay stubs, a note from your doctor approving of time off work, and ideally a letter from your employer as well. Other things like loss of household services, if you cleaned your house before, but now you have to hire a maid, you can keep those receipts and submit those on the claim. And last, I like to tell my clients to keep a pain and suffering journal. Write down all the ways that this accident has affected you. If it's hard for you to get out of bed in the morning and you never had that issue before, write that down. If you missed out on vacations or other events or a wedding, write that down. If you can't take your kids to practice or you can't pick up your toddler, these are all things that have an effect on the value of your case, and you need to document them, because if the case goes for a year or 2 years, you might forget how you were feeling 2 months into it, so make sure that you keep a journal. But tracking your expenses is absolutely key. Thanks for tuning in to our FAQ series. I hope this information was helpful. If you or a loved one have been injured in an accident, feel free to give us a call. We have 2 convenient locations, one in Henderson on Stephanie and Warm Springs, and a new location in the Southwest off 215 in Durango. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.